Hi everybody, I wanted to do a video for people who are completely new to Arma 3 but have seen the new Spearhead 1944 World War II DLC and are like, yes, this is the time I want to jump in, because this really is the time to jump into Arma 3, because Spearhead 1944 and in particular the Operation Cobra multiplayer co-op campaigns are incredible fun, and if you're just familiar with the likes of Call of Duty or especially Battlefield, you will feel right at home, and as long as you play the normal difficulty levels you will have a great fun time. It is fantastic fun. So to start off with, obviously you want a copy of Arma, probably the Ultimate Edition. I'll put a link in the description below this video, because the Ultimate Edition has all the various official non-C DLC, so all the stuff from Behemoth Interactive. So you want to install that, and you want to obviously buy the Creator DLC Spearhead 1944, and that will install as well. If you have an issue with the DLC not being installed, it's fairly easy to sort out. Just go to Steam, go to your Steam library, go to Arma 3, go to Properties, go to DLC, and if you scroll down you should have ticks against everything you've got, including the Spearhead 1944 DLC. The other thing you'll want to do is you'll want to go to where Arma 3 is installed on your computer. In my case it's Steam Library, Steam Apps Common Arma 3, and you'll want to click on the Arma 3 keyboard layout file, which is this one, and you'll want to print out this reference sheet. You could fold it into a triangle if you want, or what I've done is I've actually laminated mine on A4 because it has all of the controls, because trust me, Arma 3 has an awful lot of controls. Now you don't need to try and memorize all of them. The basic controls are not too bad, but there isn't really an option to play on controller. Now once you've done that, what you'll want to do is you'll want to fire up Arma. So let's click on play, and what this is going to do is this is going to fire up the launcher. So in the launcher, to start off with, we don't want Spearhead 1944. You don't want to have any DLC ticked, and you don't really want to have any mods either, and you just want to click play so the game will fire up. Now Arma 3, even though it's 10 years old, is notorious for being poorly optimized even on modern really powerful computers, so you may find you get terrible frames per second, particularly in Spearhead 1944 as well, because it's only just come out, so it probably needs some more optimization. Once you've got a hang of the basics and you know how to get into the game and start a game and start having a little bit of fun, then do some Google searches for how to optimize Arma 3 FPS or Arma 3 graphics, something like that, and that will then give you the ability to make it run better. I'm not going to cover that in this video because it's a little bit of a bigger thing. Now in Arma 3, the base Arma 3 you're seeing here, there's loads of stuff to get you started. What you really want to start off with is the boot camp, to work your way through that, and you can do the VR training as well. That's very good as well. And then what you can also do, there's nothing wrong with jumping into the campaign and playing that for a little bit, but don't get disheartened if you find it incredibly difficult. The showcases, again, it can be good fun to jump into those, like the infantry one. However, make sure you change the difficulty down to recruit, and don't get disheartened if they're too difficult. Alright, the main thing is just to get a feel of the controls, and you kind of get that in the training anyway. So don't do that too often, and don't worry if it seems too hard. Once you've got the basics of moving around, and just quit out of that, fire up the launcher again, and that will, now what we're going to do is we're going to add the DLC, and I'm going to show you a few things with the DLC so we can have a bit of fun. So now we click on DLC and we make sure Spearhead 1944 is selected. Again, I'm not loading any mods because we're going to be loading into a multiplayer server at some point, and most of the multiplayer servers at the moment are vanilla, so there's no mods on them. So if you preload any mods in the launcher, when you launch it and then go into Arma 3, they won't let you in. So we're going to click play and we're going to jump into Spearhead 1944, but don't worry, we're going to have a bit of fun to start off with, just to get used to the movement and how to use the guns and weapons and everything like that before we dive in. Here it comes as it loads up. And it's always a good idea to have installed Arma 3 to an SSD as well. The faster the better. That can really help performance as well. But don't worry, if you get low frames per second, we all get low frames per second. So here we are. Now the first thing I want you to do is actually click on the editor here. So click on editor, click on Normandy, and just click continue. Now the editor, or the Eden editor, this is the hidden gem of Arma that some people, forget about. But other people, this is where they spend all of their time, because in the editor we can play on the map. So if I press M, we can bring up the map, and then if I scroll out with my mouse wheel, this is the Normandy map that we get with Spearhead 1944. And we can move around, and I can just click my mouse wheel in and then press M again, and we can click and hold right mouse button, and we can look around, and then we can use WASD to kind of fly around, and we can use Q to go up, Z to go down, and we can look around. There's no enemies or anything like that, or friendlies on the map at the moment. It's just a playground for us. Then what we can do now, say if we go over this field, if you look on the right hand side, this is where we have all of the things we can spawn in. Now remember, this is not only going to have assets and men and soldiers and vehicles from Spearhead 1944, it's also going to include the vanilla Arma ones as well. And with Spearhead 1944, the Germans are blue 4, and the Americans and the French are independent. So what I want you to do is really just click on US Army here, and then click on men, and then let's go with a rifleman. So you left click, and then you just left click somewhere, and we can press Z to go down and have a look at him. Then over him, around his little circle there, just right click, play as the character. And this is going to spawn us in on the map. Here we are. Now there's no enemies or anything here, so it's nice and safe. We can press enter to come out of first person, and now we can just wander around the map. We can right click to aim down sights. We can fire our gun. We can press R to reload, X to go to one knee, Z to go prone, X to get back up again. We can press shift to sprint. We can press Control C to go to walking. Control C to go to walking pace. Control C to go to a running pace. Shift to sprint again. G to throw a grenade. All these sort of things you can play around with, just to get you kind of familiar with kind of aiming, leaning, and all that sort of fun. Now you can't jump in Arma, but when you come to wall, if you press V, you'll kind of step over or jump over a wall. And then what you do, you can press escape, return to Eden editor, and now you can say, well, that was a lot of fun. What else can I play around with? Well, if you untick place vehicles with crew, we can say, I'll tell you what, let's pop a Sherman tank down. Let's right click that. Let's play as the rifleman. Actually, I tell you, no, stop. Men tank crew. Let's put a tanker sergeant there. And let's right click, play as the character. Let's get in a tank. Double click Alt, free camera. Roll your mouse wheel to gunner seat. Right click, go to sight. 1 to change the shell. 1 to go back to machine gun. No, sorry, 2 to go to machine gun. 1 to go back to the main gun. Enter to go back to third person. Roll your mouse wheel to commander seat. Actually, sorry, driver seat. Want to go back to. If I had spawned this tank in with crew, actually, we could have. You can kind of operate the tank. You can drive and shoot kind of at the same time. But when you're actually in a multiplayer game, you have to have a full crew. Otherwise, you've got to swap between people. So that's quite cool, isn't it? So return to Eden editor. And you go, well, okay, so there's... Well, what about planes? Could we put a plane down? Yeah, so with planes, what you're better off doing is sort of left-click to place the plane down, but then left-click and hold and press Alt and put it into the air. That way, when it starts, you'll be flying. I think I can right-click... I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do place vehicles with crew. We're going to delete this guy. And we're going to take our Thunderbolt, place him down there, press Alt. There we go. And now we're going to right click, play as the character. There we go. And we're going to spawn in flying an aeroplane. Double click Alt to make it sort of WASD. To change the rockets, is it? Right. Press Escape, return to Eden Editor. So as you can see, you can have a great time. We can click on Blue 4. Now, if you place any enemy soldiers down near friendly soldiers, well, near American soldiers, when the scenario starts, they will start fighting each other automatically. So you may well want to get rid of those and go, okay, so let's put down a, what we got? A sniper, German sniper there. Let's put down a tank. Let's put down a tiger there. And then right click, play as the character. Oh, we got our aircraft up there already. Now that this aircraft will spot us and will turn around and probably attack us as well, because it's got AI in it and they know we are the enemy. So if we get into this tank here, is it going to let us get on, or are we just going to let us sit on the back? Yeah, we'd have had to play as the character, and doesn't it look good, that tiger? Bloody marvellous. So you can see that in the editor we can have a lot of fun. Oh, he's off. Don't know where he's going to go, but he's going to somewhere. Let's follow the tank. He's off to find cover probably. So let's press Escape, return to Eden. So within the Eden Editor, before you jump into multiplayer, you can just get used to the environment that you're going to be fighting in. And when you're good to go, it doesn't have to be that long. Just come out of the editor. And what we want to do is we just want to go into multiplayer, and you can go into the simple browser if you like, and we want to go to PvE, and we want Operation Cobra. So you click on that and you'll see these servers pop up. Now don't worry too much if, for example, there's only 1 or 11 people in a particular server, because the rest of the people will be taken up with AI. Now the really good thing about Operation Cobra is that I think there's 7 missions, but they're all very short. None of them last more than half an hour, and they're very driven by playing in a squad, and they're very driven by objectives, and the objectives are obvious. So you just want to look to the right here and just want to make sure it's on campaign regular when you first start playing. And trust me, once you've had a few goes, you won't even die doing one of these on regular. You'll be able to go from the beginning to the end of a mission. You probably might have to revive yourself a couple of times or give yourself some first aids, but unless you're being really silly, you'll get hit by artillery or a mortar fire or a tank. You're going to stay alive because it's not very difficult. And then you just click on it, and then you just go to connect, and this will then take us in to the kind of lobby area. And then what you want to do is you want to just go down and you can choose which role you'll want to be. When you start off, I would say avoid the tanks. Just be a rifleman. So here we go. So I can be a medic in Charlie Squad. So I do that and I say, okay, so these are all the people that are playing. We might be at the beginning of the mission. We might be a well way into it. And what's going to happen now is it's going to give us a briefing that everybody has to listen to, but there is an option to skip sometimes. Alright, we're already in it. Okay, so what's happened here is respawn is disabled because they're near the end of the game. Okay, so what would happen here is you would wait to the end of the game, and then the server would then start the mission either again or go on to the next one. So we're going to abort out of this because I want to show you how to do this. So we're going to disconnect from that server. We're going to connect to a different one. So let's go for this one. Let's connect to this one. Okay, so I'm going to choose to be in Charlie Squad as a medic. I'm going to say okay. Now you can play this single player, and there's ways of doing it, but I'd highly recommend you don't, because actually the performance when you play it on single player on your own PC is really rubbish. But when you're playing on a server, the server is taking up stuff. So, right, this one's already started, so we can choose where we want to spawn, like on one of our AI teammates. So we're just going to take on here. Now, this is the area of operations. So that's us, the Americans. We always play as the Americans, that's the Germans. And these are the things that we can do. So we're going to respawn in.
076 095.
And this is where things are very, very simple. All you need to do is follow the commands from the squad, like move to this particular location. So we can see we've got this white mark here. Oh, we've got a target to fire. And then, see the yellow marker there in the middle of the screen? That's our overall sort of what mission for this particular part of this level. So if we press M, we can bring it up. So if you scroll in, the red marker's me. The A, B, C, D, E stuff, that's where the squad leader is. So that's where the squads are. In fact, you can click on tasks. Okay, so capture canister, clear railway area. So that's that bit. That's what we're assigned to do. And then you've got these other tasks that you could take on as well. Then you can look at your briefing. So we're in Charlie 3. And this is my squad. And then I'm off. And all you've got to do is run along. Be a little bit careful because you can go down fairly easy. If you get shot, just make sure you hit spacebar to stop your bleeding and then apply a bandage or a revive. Where you can, if there's more supplies that come across. Where's he gone? Good shot, wasn't it? You know, pick up more meds, pick up ammunition isn't too bad, and it's very, very simple. Incoming mortar fire, 200 metres, so we just need to be careful. And then you just run towards the targets, hopefully with your squad close behind you. And if not, I mean, you just can wait for them to catch up, or you could go on ahead and generally have a good time. It all becomes fairly self-explanatory fairly quickly. You'll kind of get an idea, and it's very similar to when you're playing like a Battlefield campaign or some of the classic Call of Duty campaigns, and you will have an awful lot of fun, and it'll be over before you know it, and you'll be thinking, I want to have a go at the next one now. So there we go. That, my friend, is how you get started in Spearhead 1944 when you're a complete beginner. Just get... Oh, see, we can always team up with those guys over there if you wanted to as well. Where's my guys? Come on, hurry up. That's how you get started in Spearhead 1944. Do not be scared to jump into the multiplayer. Do not be scared to have a go at the co-op PvE, because it is an awful lot of fun, and it is the core, for me, of what this DLC is all about. And I love the way they have made it so accessible to new players and players who normally maybe wouldn't want to have a go at multiplayer online Arma because they found it a little bit intimidating. And I can't wait to see what else these guys come up with as part of this DLC. Oh, but if we only get this, there goes an airstrike coming in. You know, I am more than happy. So there we go. Hopefully you found this video useful. If you have, hit like, subscribe if you want to see more of the same. Put your questions and comments down below. And of course, I will see you again soon.